My name's Nathan Stevenson, and I spent 2 years in Sheffield and then transferred to Falmouth University for my final year. The commendation I've been awarded is the Serjeant Prize for Excellence in Architectural Drawing at undergraduate Part 1. And the name of the project, which is set in Camborne, is Leow, Keskorra, Dyski, which is Cornish Celtic for a place to assemble and learn. So the project is set in Camborne, which is one of the oldest mining towns, communities in Cornwall, and was once a very affluent place, and had tremendous success and money flowing from the mining community and the mining industry in Cornwall. And now, after the collapse of that industry, suffers a great deal. The people there suffer from that collapse. It's a really high unemployment rate. And so the project is to try to breathe a new life into that important ancestry and the history of the people who live in Cornwall, many of whom were miners up until the 90s. It's a hard project because there are lots of museums for mining in Cornwall. So to deal with that, often you feel a very obvious need with an architectural imposition. But in this case, it was to try and breathe a new life into that history and find a new way of making that accessible to people of Cornwall and people who visit Cornwall. It's a popular destination for tourists and people who aren't from the county. And so there are these great monuments left behind by the mining industry, decaying buildings, decaying machines, that have become almost sculptural in their nature from their decay. And that was what I wanted to be the core of the project, is to view those objects that were created with no artistic intent as artistic objects, as sculptures. And that is the way that I went forward with my project and designed the building around these, decaying machines, to see those as something beautiful in their own right, and to respect that as something that is beautiful and as art. I also wanted people to be able to leave their experience with something physical, and from the fact that copper and tin were the key materials mined for in Cornwall, the site includes a foundry for people to use, for public to use over a longer period of time and over a few visits, more than just one, enables them to eventually leave with a cast piece of bronze, which is a combination of copper and tin. So that ties in nicely and is a nice emotional and physical way of connecting to the kind of history and the material history of Cornwall. Through my process of casting the bronze and the research that led to doing that, and the idea of immortalizing an image or a piece of history, an idea, a memory, and to come out with something physical that you could hold, that was really the most memorable thing from this for me, and the idea of caricaturizing something that's very common in Cornwall into a cold thing that you can hold in your hand. Really important for the project, and I felt that was important for me to understand the context, and it felt like a new way of a nice way of studying that history and that ancestry and the architecture of that kind of history too.